the boy child was under threat. Boy child was really, really under threat. Innovation is not just an event.
So, over the years, how have you seen Uganda's education system evolve?
If you look at the diploma structure as well, you also see some bit of disjointed initiatives. Is there a way we can have an intervention that prepares talent without going through the mainstream academic program? You're a business and you are still stuck in traditional media. Yeah, the bigger part of the population is not interested in the stuff that you're doing. But we have an advantage as a continent, as a country, is that we have a fairly young population. Now, what do we need to do?
Hello, welcome back to the ICT podcast where we are spilling the tea on everything ICT, innovation, and in the tech space. He is a technology expert and he's serving currently as a country manager for ICDL Africa in Uganda. He's also the program manager at Refactory. He has worked with Makerere University, and we are so glad to have him here with us today. So, Michael, can you please introduce yourself to the audience and tell them more about yourself?
Michael Niyitegeka, and it's a pleasure to be here. I lead the team at Refactory, also manage the franchise for ICDL Africa in Uganda, where we support the local office. I've been in the tech, I think now coming to almost 20 plus years. Spent about 12 of those in Makerere, working in both the IT faculty and somewhere else in the humanities faculty. And yeah, since 2013, I have been in the marketplace, building talent, developing talent, and working with enterprises or entrepreneurs.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for that introduction, Michael. So let's get right into it. So over the years, how have you seen Uganda's education system evolve from what it was then to what it is now in terms of ICT and all?
Okay, so if you look at it up until 2004, Makerere only had, I think, a degree in computer science, if I'm not mistaken. And then in 2004, new programs then started coming to life, like information technology, software engineering. Those then begin to come into the bigger picture besides computer science. And also the graduate program, we then see masters in data science, masters in data communication, masters in computer science, information systems, information technology, all the way up to PhD. So there's been a gradual development, but literally the 2000s is when we see, I would say the professionalization, but also the recognition of ICT and the different components around it begin to come into the main play around in our academia. When you look at it from across the education spectrum, we've had what I would call littered in a sense that the interventions around ICT, but really not well curated or well not structured, if that makes sense. Because you'd find, so somebody who has done ICT at A level, that ICT does not speak to any pathway into, let's say, degree program. It's still largely general ICT, which is not bad in any way, but you'd want somebody who has done ICT to have a leverage in, let's say, being admitted into computer science or information technology, information systems, or even software engineering, if that were the case. So whereas there's been that whole at degree level onwards, we've not seen the same happen below. If you look at the diploma structure as well, you also see some bit of disjointed initiatives, that the diplomas are not yet mainstream. And what does this diploma mean? You see, when I do a diploma, technically speaking, it's like I'm doing a bridging course that if I've done, let's say, diploma in computer science and I've done 2 years, there should be what you call accumulated knowledge. So you've done 2 years, and to an extent possible, I think Makere tried to do that, come up with a diploma in computer science, where you could study for 2 years diploma and then start in second year, because the assumption was that the content you've done in 2 years is more or less equivalent to the content you should have done in year one. You get it?
Yes.
So that whole looking at it across spectrum hasn't really happened. And as such, yeah, the integration alignment is still missing. And I think we are late to the game, or in the game of that space, yeah.
Okay. So what ICT trends do you see shaping Uganda and Africa's future, and how can we position ourselves to be competitive in the global digital space?
From my perspective, the Ugandan digital space is largely defined to a very large extent by the fintech space. So if you remove fintech, you probably don't have a very big tech sector here. A lot of it is largely fintech. Now, so fintech is also interestingly evolving, because what used to be a domain of, let's say, small companies, startups, and that kind of stuff, the fintech space is just now being the telecos have come in big time and are playing a big part in it, in the fintech space, but also your mainstream financial sectors are also coming in. And so what we are seeing is a convergence, where it's very difficult to tell whether this is a fintech service in quotes or it's a bank service. Now everything seems to be merging. So for me, that's trend one, where we're seeing convergence, especially around financial technology. And I think also the fact that now the regulation or the regulator for the fintech entity has moved to the Bank of Uganda. That alone, in a way, kind of gives it, it's coming round into we are under one roof.
Yes.
The second trend for me is users, the evolution of the user in Uganda. The user is growing and changing very fast. And I guess that is also largely informed by the demographics, that we have such a young population. I mean, if you look at the stuff that what we spend our data on right now, TikTok is number one in terms of data consumption. So trend two is around the adoption and evolution of social media in Uganda. But what we're seeing is so platforms like TikTok, Twitter or X, LinkedIn are not as popular as, let's say, I mean, you have over 5 million active subscribers on TikTok. You hardly, I think, have 1 million on LinkedIn. So which gives you the picture from a demographics perspective, that you have more young people in the population who probably don't yet find a lot of value on being on LinkedIn, or even on X, for example. I know there are times when I have conversation with my own children, and they're like, X looks to be, it's quite boring. It's guys seem to be into themselves. Yeah, so it's so that's what you're seeing, that the user is evolving, and the way they consume content is totally different. So if you're a business and you are still stuck in traditional media, the bigger part of the population is not interested in the stuff that you're doing. So we're probably going to see a lot of news agencies beginning to create active TikTok accounts because that's where people are. That's where people are spending time. I think for me, then the third is around cybercrime and cybersecurity. Because a lot of us are adopting technology or are beginning to use technology and specifically smartphones. And we also know for a fact that a bigger chunk of our smartphones in this market, and I can put it, so they're not your regular Samsung. It's, you have certain brands that have a very high penetration in our market. But because of that, within a short while, people realize they have internet or they have devices that can enable them to access internet. But that has also exposed them quite significantly. You're seeing a lot of people saying, my WhatsApp has been hacked or something like that, or I have lost my money. Or, so cybercrime is growing. And it is an area of concern for both the citizens but also the industry. So those are my top three. Now, what do we need to do? Whereas the world is talking about AI and everything that comes with it, I think we can, to the best of my understanding, I think the financial sector is the one that is currently beginning to leverage the power of AI. And simply because they have invested quite a lot in their data and data structures and making sure that data is good. Because AI without data is empty. There's nothing that you can do about it. So adoption around AI and AI technology is certainly in the financial space. But we have an advantage as a continent, as a country, is that we have a fairly young population. Markets like Germany, markets like Italy, markets like Japan, they have an aging population. And most of them have what I would call legacy technology. And so we can position ourselves by preparing talent to look at those opportunities, because there are quite a number of opportunities. And so we now talk about global business services. And so if we're going to play in that area, for me, I guess the best value proposition we bring to the international market is our talent. That's number one. We have a lot of work to do if we're going to be heavily attractive. Let's say if you compare the business establishment, if you go to Kenya, you'll find Microsoft, you'll find Google, you'll find IBM, you'll find Amazon. They all have presence in Kenya. And because of the size of the economy and infrastructure that they possess. So from a competitive advantage, you can leverage on what they have and say, I am going to give you X, Y, Z. It will be very, and maybe I'm not as optimistic, but it will take some time for those businesses to shift base, because these guys follow each other. The guy in Microsoft will follow Google and set up close to them because of what they believe has already been set up.
Okay, so thank you so much, Michael. So now you talked about Refactory and how you branched into the market space. So can you tell us about it? What inspired the creation of Refactory?
Yeah, so when I was in my career, one of the things that was evident was the need for us to rethink how we prepare talent for industry. Whereas our main academic programs tend to follow a certain structure, credit units, X, Y, Z, you must have, so there's that whole formality that must go through. There was one thing that we're missing. We're missing the marketplace. Who are we training for? And so for me, it was the realization that there was an opportunity, because I was also seeing companies that I had connections with, or people that I knew in certain companies, they were struggling to find talent. And so they were either getting to Kenya or Nigeria, or I think I know companies that had actually started picking talent from Philippines.
What?
Yeah, because it was easier to get talent from India or Philippines, whichever it is, than to find talent here.
Yeah.
And so setting up Refactory for me was more of trying to say, is there a way we can have an intervention that prepares talent without going through the mainstream academic program? Like, because the one thing I noticed, it is extremely difficult to change academia. Yeah, maybe extremely difficult because of the structures and the things that they need to follow. And so Refactory is really a response to what I think was an opportunity. Yes, is an opportunity for us to have an intervention that prepares talent for the marketplace. And so I started on this idea in 2015. So I left my career 2013. Started 2015 when I met two gentlemen who had some funding, and I told them we don't need another degree program in this market. There are just too many degrees. Yeah. Literally every university has an IT degree, and I'm like, we don't need another degree in IT. And they said, okay, let's see how it works, and tested a few things here and there until 2018 when we thought we had close to cracked it. And so Refactory is launched in 2019 as a program between Laboremus, Clark International University, and Fontes Foundation. Now, as a program, it means that we got funding to more or less do a pilot. So funding comes to an end in 2022, and February 2022, Refactory is registered as a company. So right now, Refactory is a company. And because we realized that, okay, what we are doing cannot continue under program structure, we need now to have a company set up. So Refactory is set up now, has a board, has a complete structure as a standalone entity. But to the issue is along the way, it has also evolved. We started with one program, we now have about over 8 programs. Speaking to different verticals in the industry. We've trained close to over 900 young people. And our placement rate has been between 75 to 85%. And we tend to look at it after 6 months. So we say, okay, how long does it take us to place talent after 6 months when you've completed training? Over the years, we've also we've seen an increase in young women participating in programs, but also largely because we also have had partners come on board to sponsor and fund specifically young women. And I think we now probably stand at about 60% women in terms of into the industry, and which is a good thing. I think there's a time we had a graduation here, and the boy child was under threat. Boy child was really, really under threat. So it's been evolving. We are trying to do as much as we can within the industry. I think one of the things that I can also say is that we're also very keen on supporting the national TVET ecosystem. Based on our experiences, try to share what we've learned and what are the opportunities. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, because I think that's feeding into our digital transformation roadmap and
Absolutely.
other skilling.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for contributing to Uganda.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're going to talk about now the ICDL skilling.
Yeah.
So recently you held a graduation here for skilling refugees, and we all know Uganda hosts one of the largest numbers of refugees.
Yes.
So can you tell us about it, and how are there any success stories from it? Are they empowering the communities that they are in? And yeah.
Yeah, so for me, like I said, so whereas ICDL is not like main, I largely support on advocacy making, because for me, digital skilling is a big thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to play and be very active in our in the digital economy, we cannot run away from having
The skills.
talent
Yeah.
that has the capability, that has the competence. And so that is very critical. So when the opportunity came up so I represent ICDL in the market. And when I was given the challenge, we want to train and skill refugees, I was like, okay, this is really, really interesting. The first lot we did, we quickly found that language was a big issue.
Yes.
And so ICDL being a global entity, one of the things that they have been able to build is content speaking to multiple audiences. So the first response was to say, you know what? You can do this in French. You can also do this in Arabic. So whereas the classes were happening in French, in English, the participants had an opportunity to go back and access content in Arabic, go back and access content in French for now.
Okay.
But also that then increased our participation because whereas the target I think was for us to train about 600 young people, we trained close to 1,000 young people.
Wow.
Yeah. We had challenges hitting the female enrollment perspective because it then meant that you had, there are few other dynamics around young women involvement in some of these initiatives.
Yes.
The other thing that I saw, and like I said, mine is more of provide leadership. The actual execution is done by a team, both based in Kenya and Kigali, and a team that is based here. So in terms of what have we seen from impact, I mean, we've seen when we're going through the graduation ceremony, we saw a young man who was able to share that based on the skills that he had acquired, he works as an insurance sales agent.
Yes.
He had been named the top insurance seller.
Oh, yes.
Broker, if that makes sense. For the month, because he was now able to use the digital marketing tools to be able to sell to more people than he previously was able to. Now, because ICDL is modular, you're able to create what we call a profile based on what we think is best for you. So I don't have to take you through Microsoft Word, Excel, or spreadsheets or presentation, because that's not what you're going to use. You're probably not going to work with it. But if I expose you to digital marketing on your device, you can start working with digital marketing.
Yeah.
And I think we need more of that for even our youthful population. Give them tools of trade as opposed to ticking the box. You can now type, you can now save a document, when access to a device like a computer is almost next to impossible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, no.
Yeah.
Okay, well done.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we are almost wrapping it up. So I want to know, like, you've been part of these different initiatives, and what excites you the most about Uganda's innovation landscape, and what would you tell, what advice would you give to someone out there who is looking to thrive in ICT?
So over the years, the one thing, and I think they tell you, time is the best teacher. So one of the things I've come to appreciate is that innovation is not just an event. So it's not have a hackathon and people
And
will
close.
innovate. We need to be very intentional if the innovation landscape here is going to change. We need to be very intentional and tap into experience. Because one of the things I've come to appreciate, Winnie, is that the people that understand the gaps and have areas to solve are not the young people who are fresh out of university. But we need to find a way of connecting the young people to opportunities of linking with, let's say, a hotelier, somebody who has been in the tourism industry for years and has a need to solve something.
Yes.
Because in that need to solve something, there could be 10 other companies or 20 other companies that have the same challenge. Yeah, sometimes I think we need a radical approach around innovation in this country. The founders lab or founders innovation space. And founders in a sense that you want to get people who are in industry, either trade, engineering, manufacturing, or tourism, agriculture, bring them to a space and just to understand what are you struggling with now, and then get to see if what you're struggling with, technology can solve it. So I have two things. I have somebody who has a need to be solved, but I also see an opportunity for technology.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah.
And if this need is consistent and I have the competence to solve, then the two of us come together and innovate. I think, yes, I'm in that space where I want to rethink innovation. I want to rethink how we approach things. And I know there are quite a number of innovation hubs or spaces.
Yes.
Yeah. So
It's a lot.
I am in the space of we need to rethink this whole
Yes, the
innovation space.
innovation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So what would you tell someone who wants to, get into the space and what to?
So for me, I would say spend time with the people in the domain. So if you want to innovate for health, spend time in health
Okay.
and listen more to what their pain points are. Because when you listen to what their pain points are, you then solution for a problem.
For them, yeah.
And when that innovation comes through, there is appetite for
Yeah.
it. If that
They're
makes
ready,
sense.
yes.
So don't sit in your room somewhere
Think of
and start
something.
thinking of something I'm going to build.
The target
So
audience.
my guidance to any young person, I would say, yeah, there are those who will have, like, those are the outliers.
Yeah.
Majority of us are going to innovate within existing ecosystems. You're either, so you're going to innovate, but so you need to be humble enough to go into these spaces, learn from these spaces, identify the gaps, try to validate these gaps, and then go ahead and solution for them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Michael,
My
for
pleasure.
joining us for the ICT podcast. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us for more episodes because innovation never sleeps, and neither do we.